yeah, it's kind of noisy. Clothes. Pick up any clothes last night. I think this should be. Hello? 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 Start. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? You guys hear me? That is Queen Marika and yes, sir. Chat. Like 4:30. Oh, hello. Hello. Hello, Scooty. Is it Scooty? Is my mic on? Hello? You guys like anime dolls? Cutie? Cutie? You guys like the anime dolls? Wait, let me type. Go to animexdolls.com. Buy one of your personal waifu. You can do it here as well. I don't know. Anyways, you guys can like and share the stream. It will help me with the algorithm. Help me make more of these anime dolls. These cuties. Thank you for liking Chira. Soko. English not English, not my first language. Thank you, thank you. this thing? Hello. Hello everybody. Thank you for joining. It's like my daughter. Cute. Daughter wife. Hello, Mr. Emperor. And we met. I mean, Mr. Error. Didn't we met yesterday, Mr. Error? And oh yeah, I gotta rebuild my website. So email me if you really want the doll first, because there's just so many dolls to upload on the website daily. I'm gonna eat break. I'm gonna eat lunch. Nah, JK. Hello, what's up, Mr. Error? Thank you for liking PI Comics. Thank you for sharing, Maroon Man. Okay, guys, as long as you like and share the video, I will be very appreciate, because it helped me with the algorithm. You don't really have to buy the dolls. I spend my own money buying the dolls. But if you want an anime doll, you can contact me directly by email. I'll help you design or wife. And if you guys just like and share the stream or my videos, follow the channel, it will be very, very helpful. Thank you, thank you. Meru, Meruem, Meruem. The Meruem like the final boss in Hunter x Hunter. Meruem. I don't know if you watch that. I don't know if you watch that anime. Meruem, the ant. Dimina M or ant, the ant, super strong ant boss. Watch Hunter x Hunter. Let Saki take the stream. Saki. Go get my cream cheese. I can eat and start editing videos. I'll be back. Hello. Thinking of watching some video. If anybody's on TikTok and want to watch video with me on YouTube, for some reason you can't watch YouTube on TikTok for some reason. Like if you guys want to go to my YouTube stream, we can Is it legal to have those dolls? Yeah, it's legal. Depends on where you live. Where do you live? Um, some country are more has more tyranny. Like it's more like some country have no like freedom of speech. In those country, they probably will be or some or maybe for some country is for uh religious reason. Some like Islamic country cannot have dolls, and some countries just have no freedom of speech. That would just ban the dolls. Like Mexico. Mexico has no freedom of speech there. Mexico banned dolls. Actually, correction. Mexico. I think Mexico allowed the dolls. My bad, my bad. What's a country that banned doll? Oh, I can't think of it on top of my head right now. I'm gonna watch this super hilarious.
Mainstream media, legacy, they're just ignoring the facts. I don't care how he feels. I barely care how I feel. It's not a matter of opinion. We are a country of law.
Are you comfortable with the sort of militarization at the federal level?
You've got people that are looting and attacking law enforcement officers. Then what are you going to do? They're coming in and ginning this up. I don't think that should be happening. Look, this isn't.
So guys, you can go to my YouTube or
dummies.
Kick the criminals out. Simple.
Politicians speaking out in their own political, make this political for their own benefit. The rest of us are suffering for it. The law enforcement is suffering for it.
You want to play this game, Donald? Why don't we cut off your federal funds? That's $94 billion. We'll see how you like to play that game. We'll start talking turkey with our money.
Well, US boots are on the ground, not in Kharkiv or Kabul, but in Los Angeles, California. 700 Marines have arrived in LA to join more than 2,000 members of the National Guard in response to anti-deportation protests that have lapsed into rioting and looting. Many of the protests have been peaceful, but many have not. The scenes of burning cars, blocked freeways and looted stores, much of it under the banner of the Mexican flag, play right into the hands of President Trump. He tore into the state leadership in a speech at Fort Bragg to mark the Army's 250th anniversary.
Before going further, I want to say a few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a violent mob. And some of the radical left, they say, oh, that's not nice. Well, if we didn't do it, there wouldn't be a Los Angeles. It'd be burning today, just like their houses were burning a number of months ago.
Well, the Californian governor, Gavin Newsom, who would quite like to be America's next president, is attempting to block the deployment of troops by court order. The Trump administration said it will arrest anyone who blocks its immigration enforcement, including Newsom, if necessary, to which he gave this appropriately Hollywood response.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. But you know what? Let your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Let your hands off these poor people who are just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years. The fear, the horror, the hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn.
Tough guy. I don't give a damn. The Academy Award for Political Opportunism goes to, you can fill the blank yourself. Well, the current LA riots are nothing like 1992 with the Rodney King riots. They're nothing like BLM following the murder of George Floyd in 2020. And they're nothing like the Capitol riots on January the 6th either. This is a few square blocks of violent disorder in a city of 469 square miles. The chaos began on Friday after the arrest of 40 suspected illegal immigrants in a city of 4 million people. There will be cases of heartbreak and injustice wherever ICE tries to enforce mass deportations. That much is clear. But Trump was elected with a thumping mandate after promising to carry out mass deportations. Almost half of the population of LA is Latino, and California has almost 2 million illegal immigrants. So everybody in politics is getting a little bit of what they want from these ugly scenes. The president is the hard man, cracking down on looters and keeping his promises. The governor is the emotional support animal for the little guy, feathering his nest for 2028. The big losers are the people boarding up their businesses and trying to get on with their lives. When a moment I spoke to my expert panel to debate all this, but first I'm joined by Phil McGraw, host of Dr. Phil Primetime on Merit TV, who's been in Los Angeles with ICE agents ahead of the immigration race. Dr. Phil, great to have you back on Uncensored. Just give me an overview, Phil, about what is going on in Los Angeles and where your biggest sympathies lie.
Pierce, it's good to talk to you again. And once again, I think the mainstream media, the legacy media, they're just ignoring the facts here. They're really wanting to inflame the situation. They're not wanting to inform people about what's really going on. And I'm really not sure what the objective is of the mob here. I listened to a lot of the speakers on microphones last night, yesterday, really since this all started. And they're demanding the release of the people that were arrested. Surely they can't expect that to happen. I mean, what would happen if the federal government just said, hey, oh, okay, all right, you guys are upset, so we're going to open the jail and turn all of these people that were arrested, lawfully arrested, we're just going to turn them loose. And among those they would be turning loose are drug traffickers, those that are accused of domestic violence, one with a indictment for second-degree murder, a 55-year-old illegal alien from the Philippines convicted of burglary, sexual penetration with a foreign object, assault with intent to commit rape, a Mexican national with a rap sheet that includes shooting up a house and a vehicle with people in them, willful cruelty to a child, driving under the influence, an illegal alien from Vietnam with a criminal history that includes conviction for second-degree murder as well. So I'm not sure what they're expecting to happen here. Surrender? To just say, hey, we give up, we surrender. You guys don't like the laws that your elected officials passed, so we'll turn everybody loose. This is a ridiculous position.
It seems to me, looking from afar, I'm in the UK at the moment, that and I've got a house in LA, as you know, and spend a lot of time there. It just seems to me that Trump is doing exactly what he said he'd do. He said, I'm going to do mass deportations of people in the country illegally, and he was focusing in the campaign on criminals, so people who committed crimes who are in the country illegally. And I think most Americans I've spoken to have absolutely no problem with people who are in America illegally in the first place, who are then committing crimes and are caught committing crimes, of those people being thrown out of the country. There's unanimity about that. It gets more complicated. I mean, Gavin Newsom talked there about a 4-year-old girl, and that's one of the stories you get, where you get people who, by association, perhaps to illegal people who commit crimes, they get thrown out too, or they're there illegally, but they haven't committed crimes while they've been in the United States, and they built, maybe as Newsom said, a 10-year life, and they've paid taxes and so on. And then you have the dreamers, obviously, who were born in the United States to illegal immigrants and so on. It's complicated, this. What is your view generally about who should stay and who should go?
Well, listen, it really, Yeah, I listened to Gavin Newsom speak about that, and I have several thoughts about what he had to say. First off, I don't care how he feels. I barely care how I feel about this. It's not a matter of opinion. We are a country of laws, and laws are not
Let me test my audio
suggestions.
real
They're
quick.
not guidelines. They're not optional. They're not Monday, Wednesday, Friday, one week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the next week. These are laws. And they were passed by Congress, and the people in Congress
Try it. It's a good game.
were elected
I'll be down
by
to try
those
Mac
people
games.
in Los Angeles.
No.
They have representatives in Congress that pass these laws.
Hold on a second.
And once those laws are passed, are they not to be enforced universally across the board?
Hello?
They're not optional, and the people they're attacking had nothing to do with it. These ICE agents, do you think anybody asked a single ICE agent, what's your opinion of the law? They're hurling rocks at the heads of these ICE agents. And so they're going after them. They had nothing to do with this.
But again,
They're
Phil, what I would
focused
say to
on their
that, just
job.
to jump in, what I would say to that is, I've watched those scenes and they're utterly horrific. And the people doing that, they're trying to kill people, right? So I would absolutely charge them with attempted murder. You throw a rock at a passing car and smash the windows, you're trying to kill that person, in my estimation. I don't think anyone's got any problem with people doing that. If they're there illegally, then throw them out of the country. But what about the people who are not criminals, whose only crime is a
Echo, let me
crime
know.
because
If there's
if
echo,
you enter
let
the
me know.
country illegally, you have entered the country illegally. You've broken the law. But
What do you
it's
think about
enough
the situation
if that
in the
is your
US?
only
I
crime?
think Trump is
Are you
making a
there
total
illegally to
mess
start
of
with?
things.
If you built a
Think
life, you
Trump-
have a family, is that enough to
I-
be seized off the streets by ICE?
I
and
view politics
deported,
at
in
a
your
more
opinion?
neutral way. I don't blame
This month,
each
Tax
side
Network USA
for
is
things.
proudly celebrating the birthday of the United
I
States.
stand in the
Today's
middle,
sponsor
like
wants to
watching
mark
a
that occasion
Korean
by
drama
honouring
show.
freedom, resilience, and financial independence. And they're putting their money where their mouth is. All of their services are available with 10% off.
I think-
through to July the 4th.
I
If you're
think
dealing with
Trump
back
is
taxes, or you miss the
enforcing
April
what,
deadline, the penalties could add up very quickly.
what he-
The IRS is stepping up enforcement, but the
like,
specialists at Tax Network
campaign
USA
for
can
doing
help
it.
with your
And
self-employed, a business owner, or
America,
your books are just a
well,
bit of a
California
mess.
doesn't
The
like that because
consultation is
California
free,
has a
so
very
take the first
deep.
step now. Call 800-958.
They have a very
1000
deep
or visit
immigration
tnusa.com/peers.
Um,
10% of all services through July 4th. TaxNetworkUSA.com/peers.
Okay, Piers.
In my
Enough
opinion,
with your
that's the law.
commercials.
And listen, Thomas Sowell,
But,
someone that I admire
I
greatly,
think,
was speaking
politics
about this,
is messy.
just a few days ago.
You know,
I listened
sometimes
to,
you wanna
him talk about
you wanna
this,
stand
and he said it
away
very
and
well.
like
he said nobody
you wanna
questions the
stand
humanity
on the third person
of
point
most
of view
of the
and
people
watch.
that have crossed the border, even illegally. That there are some good people there, some family people there. The Hispanic
But
population.
overall,
is by and large,
I support what
their
Trump
culture
do
is
with
very family oriented.
immigration.
So no one is questioning the humanity of those people,
But
even
I
if they
wouldn't.
cross the border. But that doesn't
But
make them
some
immune
things
from the law.
Trump like
if you are
support,
here illegally,
I don't support.
Tom Homan
So
has
I'm
said
like
it very clearly. There's an app that you
Middle
can go
ground
to
and
that says, look, self-deport, take yourself out of the country if you're here illegally. They give, if you register there, they give you time to get your affairs in
I
order
think one of
here.
the
They
things
give
that
you
will
a plane ticket
determine
to fly you back
the
to
next
where you
election
came from.
is gonna
When
be
you
the
entered the
war.
country illegally, they
The
even give
Israel
you
war.
$1,000 when you get on the ground.
That's one of
back
the
where
things
you
that I will
came
be
from
against
to
with
help you
the
get your feet
Republican
under
Party.
you there. But if
And
you
I
stay
think
here,
if Republican
and
Party
you are
wants
arrested,
to
they have
win,
to find you, arrest
they
you,
have to drop
process
the
you,
hard
and send
rock.
you out. You
They have
face
to drop-
bars. It can
they
be
have to
5
drop-
years. It can be 20 years. It can be forever.
It's not a
to
good
come back
view
into
for
this
them.
country if they have to find
And if-
you, arrest
if-
you,
if
process
Democrats
you, and
wants to
deport
win
you. So the whole reason
in the
of
next
being so
election
transparent
for the
about this
House and the
process is
Senate,
to let people know if
then
you're
they
here
will
illegally,
have to attack
you
at
need
that
to
point.
take
They'll have to
measures
drill it
to
in.
remove yourself so you can then file
That's
for
how
a
I see
visa
politics.
and come back in here legally. So I think if you're here illegally, you're here illegally.
What
Now,
did
if you
you
don't
say?
like that policy,
Which part?
I'm sorry, if you don't like that law, then change it. These people shouldn't be protesting on the highways in South LA. They should be going to the Capitol in DC and protesting to the legislature to change the immigration laws.
But there are estimates that the number of illegal immigrants in the United States, a country, of course, founded on immigration, that there could be as many as 30, 50, maybe 80 million people in the country illegally. No one's really quite
I think
sure. But it's tens of millions,
this like whole
whichever figure
protesting
you wanna
is very
buy
bad.
into.
It's very
would
bad
you be
on
happy, Phil?
a
Given
very bad look
a lot
for
of those
Democrats
people
as well.
have
Like you are
settled in the United
destroying
States for many years,
businesses,
had kids
like local
maybe in the United
businesses.
States.
It's like they're
got a
not
job,
government
paid taxes,
official.
contributed to
They don't know
society,
what's happening.
Maybe doing a lot of menial work that,
Like-
that is
like,
very important
it's,
to keeping America running.
It's a very bad look for Democrats.
Would you
I think
be
it's
happy
it
if
actually works
literally all of
negative
them
towards their
were
election
deported
success
as a
rate.
matter of principle?
An election is going to happen in.
I think we would
A
be
year or
in
two.
a serious crisis.
This won't
if
be on Trump's
everyone
like
left
record.
this country, and I
Like
think we
this
need
is
to
on
address
Democrats.
that.
Like they.
I think
like-
we need to address that. in
There's
the
also, like,
legislature. I mean, clearly,
hypotheses
this is
of,
a country of immigrants,
all
some
sorts
legal,
of like
some illegal.
intelligence
And if we
agency
have
working in the background
dysfunctional
of these.
immigration
So like
laws, then we
those
need
are
to
like deep
call,
conspiracy
an
theory
immediate
we
session
can
of
discuss
Congress,
later.
address this, and find a way to get visas for these people, work visas, whatever kind of visas, or get the immigration courts unstopped.
You mean
They're stopped
the
up right
Israel
now.
or
Get
the
that blockage out of the way so you
protesting
can actually
happening
process
right
people.
now?
But the reason they're stopped up for 7, 8, 9 more years is because all the people that have filed for asylum when they didn't have a good case for asylum. And when they get there and it's denied in the vast majority of cases, then they're given an order to leave, and they don't. So they overstay, but they clog the courts up so people that have legitimate reasons don't ever get a chance to have their day in court. I don't think our immigration laws are functional, but those are the laws right now, Pierce. And what do? How do you, these laws aren't optional. They're not suggestions. How do you decide that you're going to enforce it for this person, but not that?
Well, I think that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, I that's why I think, funny enough, if Donald Trump, through his team, including Tom Homan, I think it's a very impressive operator, actually, but if they had made it clear that the first raft of deportations were going to be exclusively restricted to people who were in the country illegally who had committed crimes, I think they would have had universal support from everybody. I think it's the fact that so many are being deported at such a rate that inevitably certain people are falling through the cracks here who have not committed any crimes, who may have built a life for themselves in the US, living the American dream in many ways, right? Albeit coming in illegally. I think people feel more uncomfortable about people like that being deported than they would if they were actually people committing crimes.
But let me tell you what's happened here, because I've been fairly close to this, as you know, and they had 3 primary objectives. One was to close the border, and I think that's been effectively done.
Yes.
I mean, the illegal crossing.
Amazingly successful.
American
And
dream.
Trump isn't getting nearly enough credit for that.
And number 2 was the worst first. Let's get the violent criminals out of here. The TDA, Trinidad Agua, let's get them out of here. MS-13, let's get the gang members, those that are, and typically
You gotta
they
get
start
the
out by
criminals out
victimizing their
here
country.
first.
That's
No
where they
American
go first,
dream
because
if,
they've got the bluff in on them, and so they start
California's filled with,
victimizing their own countrymen. And then
criminals.
third is find the missing children. There are a minimum of 300,000 missing children. Now, some of them have found their way to family and they're safe, but an unsettling number are being sex trafficked or they're into forced labor, and they need to be found, helped, given services, medical, psychological, sociological, and reunited with their families. So those are the 3 prime directives. But here's what's happening. In sanctuary cities, where they refuse to cooperate with ICE, where one agent can go in
I think ICE is
and
doing-
arrest one detainee that's in
Doing a
jail.
great job.
They instead have to do a complete operation to arrest
But
this person on the
I think this
street.
is-
And when they go in,
I
say,
think
to an
Democrats
apartment where maybe there are
didn't know what
8 or
doesn't
10
know
people
still doesn't
living,
know how they lost.
they're going to check who
Like-
they're with. And if those people
Like,
are
if you're
simply
against
here
ICE,
illegally but
you're gonna
haven't
lose
committed a
more
crime,
in the next
they're not going to
election.
say, "Oh well,
You're gonna-
we'll overlook that. You're here illegally."
People vote for
by
ICE.
law,
People vote for
they have to detain them
vote
and
for
take
two
them in
gender.
for
People
deportation.
vote for
They're creating that which they fear the most. They're forcing the
just
agents into the
general
community to
logic.
deal with people
And
that
then
maybe aren't violent
if you
criminals.
are
So
gonna
they're
go against
creating that
ICE
which they
and general logic,
fear them up.
if you're gonna go against ICE and general logic, you're gonna lose another election. And I'm just saying, but that is going to happen. But if you drill into the Israel and Palestinian situation, then you might win the election. Up to them. I'm not a politician. I'm just saying my 260 IQ. And that's up to them to strategize how they're gonna win this election.
And look, the mainstream media is not reporting the facts. What happened in LA and what happens in most of these situations are interagency situations. In LA, this was a multi-agency situation. There was a search warrant issued by a federal judge against a company that is alleged to have undervalued imports, some counterfeit, by $80 million. They had underpaid their tariffs by an estimated $17 million. Half of their workforce were illegal immigrants. And so when they go in to serve this search warrant on this alleged criminal enterprise, these illegal aliens get caught up, these illegal immigrants get caught up in that sweep of this criminal enterprise. So they get arrested. Nobody's reporting
Would you say you are a
that
Democrat?
This was a
Lawyer
interagency operation.
user?
Not every agency was involved, but U.S. Marshals were there, FBI was there, ATF was there, ICE was there. There were all these different agencies there, and they weren't all involved with this particular search warrant, but a federal judge issued this search warrant after reviewing evidence that said there's probable cause. Why isn't anybody talking about that?
But do you feel comfortable, as it escalated, about the National Guard coming in and Marines being put on standby? Are you comfortable with the sort of militarization of the way this has been dealt with at federal level? Dry skin, deeper wrinkles, and crepiness are just a few of the visible signs of aging, or so I'm told. Fortunately, today's show is sponsored by OneSkin. Their topical supplements are designed to help your skin feel and behave as if it's younger, a bit like this. Founded by all-female team of scientists, OneSkin is the first and only skin longevity company to target cellular skin aging with their proprietary OS1 peptide. It's scientifically proven to decrease lines and wrinkles, boost hydration, and help with thinning skin. More than 4,000 people have given 5-star reviews for their full line of face, body, sun, and travel-size products. OneSkin believes that skincare is not just to improve how you look, but how to optimize skin biology at a cellular level. Well, we've teamed up to give you a 15% discount with the code.
An operation over peaceful protest. They're out there because Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have not done their job, and they aren't controlling the streets. When you've got people that are looting and attacking law enforcement officers, and you've got the governor and the mayor of Los Angeles who are not doing what they swore to do, which was uphold the Constitution and enforce the laws of the land, then what are you going to do? Now they do need somebody to come in and bolster efforts to get this under control. I don't think they should allow people to turn this into 1992. I don't think they should allow, this city has had enough hell. You have a home there, I have a home there. We should not let these fringe groups, and I don't think these are all spontaneous. I do think activists are coming in and ginning this up. I don't think that should be happening. I mean, look, this isn't good for America. I mean, what are we, dummies? They're hoping that they will burn this city to the ground. They're hoping they will sow discord. This isn't pro-America. We've got people that are pushing this that hope that this deteriorates the city and tears it down. That's not pro-America. We need to wake up and smell the coffee here.
Yeah. Finally, Phil, I can't let you go without you imagining for a moment on your globally renowned show that you had two guests, one Donald Trump, one Elon Musk, two extremely successful people, very rich people who had a very intense and very close mutually beneficial relationship and then a spectacular falling out. And this morning we wake up and Elon Musk has said he regrets some of the things he tweeted or posted on his own platform X about Donald Trump last week, saying that his name is in the Epstein files, that's why they're not being released, saying he should be impeached and so on. I'm assuming those are the ones he wishes he hadn't now said. What do you make of this? And
Oh, this one is funny. This one's funny. Elon Musk and Donald Trump fighting. This one is hilarious. This one's a funny one. It's like Captain America, Civil War. Captain America versus Elon Musk, Tony Stark fighting on Twitter. I was thinking I should make a meme. Thank you for following. So where user? Man, I'll just call you. I hope I'm saying it right.
in your experience of human beings, how likely is it, and you know Donald Trump well, you know Elon Musk, I think, how likely is it they'll be able to patch things up?
Well, I think they will patch things. I think they are patching things up right now, but you know.
How do they patch things up? Just call him, Tony. Just call him. What happened to you and Cap? We sort of broke up. Broke up? Like the Beatles? Do you remember that scene in Avenger Infinity War? Just call him, Tony.
How often have people said, seemed like a good idea at the time? Man, I've said there should be some kind of, I've always said there should be a breathalyzer on our computers, and I think there should be at least a wait period. I don't think either one of them were intoxicated when they did this, but impulse control gets the best of us. And I tell you, when I write something out, when I do a post on any of the social media, it's good to sleep on it and look at it the next morning. It seems like a real good idea at 2:30 in the morning when you're all pissed off, and then the next morning you go, "Oh, I'm glad I didn't hit send on that button."
Well, apparently Elon Musk sent his mea culpa at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I don't think he's getting much sleep at the moment.
No, probably not. But listen, these are two really intelligent individuals. I don't think everybody agrees with everything they do, but I do think they want good things for this country, and I certainly think they've started to mend things. Are they ever going to get back into what people called a bromance? Look, when this thing started, you can't have two bulls in the ring. You can't have two number ones, two alphas at the same time. That's destined. I mean, Lassie can figure out this is not going to work. This is not going to work for very long. So,
yeah. I think it was kind of inevitable, and also inevitable, I think, that when Elon calmed down, he realized you're not going to win a battle like this with the President of the United States. You might be the most successful businessman on planet Earth, but he remains the most powerful man in the world, Donald Trump, and that will always prevail, I think, in a spat like this.
I think so, and I hope they work it out and get along. I would certainly counsel both of them to say, hey, take a break. Forgiveness, there's a lot of power in forgiveness, and I hope both of them will listen to that and find a way back to working together, because I think they've done some good things together.
Yeah. Dr. Phil, great to have you back on Uncensored. As always, speaking so much sense. Much appreciated.
All right, take care, Piers. You're doing a great job as usual.
Let's debate this now with my expert panel. I'm joined by the businessman, Stephen Klubeck, who's running to replace Gavin Newsom as the Democratic governor of California next year. The Riverside County Sheriff, Chad Bianco, who's also going to run for governor as a Republican. And political commentator, Kaizen Asiedu, who's been at the protests this week. All right, let's start with you, Kaizen. I just spoke to Dr. Phil, who painted a pretty detailed picture of what is going on there. His view is that the protesters, the rioters, are the ones who are actually causing violent damage and so on, that they are reacting ridiculously to what has actually happened here. What is your view from the ground?
So, first of all, violence is always ridiculous. It's not a way that we get things done in civil society. So it doesn't really matter what the circumstances in. These people shouldn't be getting violent. That said, I think what's happening is people are conflating two different groups of people. There are people who are peacefully protesting, and I got to check that out myself in person on Sunday at a pre-planned organized protest at City Hall. And then there are people who are rioting, who are vandalizing things, who are torching cars, who are throwing bricks at police officers. There's a lot of confusion about what percentage of the audience is the former versus the latter. But to be clear, the latter should be dealt with a hard line, because that's not how we do things in this country.
And that would be certainly my view. Stephen Klubeck, you want to be Democratic governor one day here. How do you think Gavin Newsom's been handling this?
Well, look, I think first off, the president and Tom messed up. They didn't create a perimeter. I mean, just as they did when they took down Diddy, they created a perimeter. They used DHS, HSI. I've worked with the State Department, HSI, CBP, DHS. They always create a perimeter in a safe environment. You got to protect these officers and the civilians around us. By the way, Sheriff, you've been in my house. Why are you wearing your uniform and running for sheriff? That's against California law and election law. I'm just curious why you're here. You were with civilian clothes with me last time.
Sheriff, you want to respond?
Yeah, that's hilarious that you're going with that argument, but whatever. Whatever. I'm the sheriff of Riverside County, but thanks for bringing that up.
You said you're running for governor, so you here running for governor, or you here as a sheriff? What do you hear us today?
It's going to be both, and California is realizing
This fat guy is I saw him from like interviewing a millionaire or a billionaire. This guy's a almost billionaire. But I think he doesn't do like ethnic business though. He does he's a private investor. So he takes people's money. He takes people's money and invests like things.
Based on what we're seeing on TV, that we're absolutely sick of millionaires and billionaires and politicians creating instances where
I'm not a politician. I follow.
This is a good lineup. A millionaire, a multi-millionaire versus a local sheriff.
The law. Obviously, you don't.
I'm not sure what we were brought here for, but we've already dealt with this ridiculous allegation of unlawfulness with a sheriff uniform. But this is absolutely silly. We're talking about this.
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't actually know that this was going to be raised or as an issue. But just to be clear, Stephen Klubeck, what is it that you're alleging about Sheriff Bianco?
Well, in California, we've got California Civil Code 3206, and you cannot, use your seal, uniform, and imply an endorsement if you're running for federal office. I mean, the sheriff was with me in my home, and he was in civilian clothes, and that's good if you want to run for office, but you can't use the people's money and your seal and endorsement and our money. You could be here one way or the other, Sheriff. If you want to be here as a sheriff, great. That's cool. But don't say you're running for governor if you're going to be here as a sheriff.
So, Sheriff, what is your response to that charge? You shouldn't be in uniform, but you're talking as a potential Republican candidate for governor.
It's a talking point for someone that has absolutely no legitimate argument to raise themselves up, that they have to bring someone else down. The Democrats already tried this several months ago when they brought this up, and the state government and federal government have already said that it's a ridiculous argument. And the fact that
Hello,
we can't
welcome,
even come on
Matthew.
here and talk about what's going on because someone else is trying to attack one of their opponents that is obviously the front runner in the California election. Is this
Sheriff,
really?
you want to represent yourself as a sheriff of Riverside County? That's great. Don't say you're running for governor at the same time.
I'm the sheriff of Riverside County who will be California's next governor.
Okay, look, let's move on. Let's move on from this. People can make their own minds up about whether they think it's appropriate or not. Sheriff Bianco, what is your view of what has been happening in Los Angeles, and in particular the way that it's been handled at state level?
Well, it's a complete failure at the state level, and it's been handled. I wish it would be a mandatory listening, your previous segment with Dr. Phil, because that was awesome. And even the very first statement here from your other guest, that was a great statement. These are two conflated and two separate things going on that are being combined by a political party. And the reality is law enforcement is suffering for it, our businesses are suffering for it, our residents are suffering for it, and this is being used as a political ploy and a political tool for different sides to just argue against each other and create more of a divide within the public that we're all supposed to be serving.
I mean, I think we'd all agree that violence is completely unacceptable, and we've seen a lot of that. The Democrat attempts to try and play down the violent aspect of this, I think, is disgraceful. It's pretty obvious when you're seeing people torching cars, looting shops, throwing rocks at cars as they speed past, which could kill people. This has been a very violent series of events in Los Angeles. But let me ask you, Kaizen, about the bigger picture, I guess, behind all this, which is ICE, immigration, deportation, who should be deported, how fast they're doing it, and so on. Dr. Phil painted, like I say, a pretty detailed picture of why he believes the federal government is acting entirely not only within its rights, but also living up to the promises that Donald Trump made as a candidate, and one of the primary reasons he got elected. What is your view about the argument about what ICE is doing here?
Yeah, so look, Donald Trump got elected on the promise of resolving the illegal immigration situation. And right now he's trying to do it. Now, there are good ways to do it and there are bad ways to do it. And I think we can talk about what we want to do, but also how we want to do it. So there are 10 to 20 million people in the country illegally right now. That's a lot of people to deport by force. So the question is, how can we effectively deport this many people if we even agree that we should? And not the whole country agrees, but the president was elected to do that. My concern is not that they're deporting people. My concern is that we're over-relying on force. And when you use forceful action, you get a forceful reaction. And that's what we're seeing. And at the end of the day, all of these riots started over the deportation of 118 people. We have 10 to 20 million people. This doesn't scale. So what I'd actually like to see the president do is not stop deporting, because I think that's important to restore order in this country, but rather to change the incentive model to incentivize people to self-deport. Because what we're seeing right now is the forced approach is creating a lot of civil unrest, and a lot of people just feel confused as to what's going on. I think we can make this a lot more easeful by enforcing existing workplace law so that employers can't pay people under the table and employ illegal immigrants, incentivizing illegal immigrants to leave by actually paying them, because it's cost us $17,000 to deport an illegal immigrant by force. So surely we could pay them half of that amount for them to just leave voluntarily, and by locking down the border so that they can't come back in. And I would also like to see the president just tone down some of the rhetoric around illegal immigration, because during this campaign, a lot of the focus was on violent criminals. And of course, a percentage of the illegal population is violent criminals, but the vast majority aren't. I mean, I meet a lot of these people on a daily basis. They're just hardworking people who fled a desperate situation in Central and South America and came here wanting a better life. But they have to enter legally. So we need to remove them from the country, but we can do that humanely and while minimizing force.
I mean, it seems to me, guys, and talking to Dr. Phil, I asked him this question, but I don't really speak to any Americans, I speak to a lot of Americans, but I haven't met any yet who have any objection in the principle of deporting illegal immigrants who've committed crimes, right? They're all just like, right, straight out the country. Everyone's agreed about that. So let's park. You don't think so?
No. I mean, I live in California, so I have a lot of liberal friends, and a lot of people are not on board with deportations. And I think this is
hang on. No, just to be clear, specifically deportation to people in the country illegally who then commit crimes in the United States.
Yes, I think people are on board about that.
Right. So I think we should park that category of deportation targets to one side, because it seems to me everyone's pretty well agreed that in principle that is fine. It gets more complicated when you have, for argument's sake, somebody who came in the country illegally 10 years ago, has now had family in the United States, has got a job in the United States, is paying taxes in the United States. What should happen to that person if they get caught up, for example, in an ICE raid in the neighborhood, and then it turns out they're there illegally? How do you feel about that person being deported?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is the thing that I think everyone was dancing around during the election. I think all people who are here illegally need to leave the country.
Right.
And I think we can do that compassionately. So I don't want to see a mom who's been here for 10 years being rounded up in an ICE raid on the street and suddenly having to go to Mexico 48 hours later. What I want is a system where people are given advance notice. We can give them like a year's notice and say, hey, look, you have a year to get your affairs in order. And although we understand that you're just a human being who wants to have a good life, the thing that makes America awesome is the fact that we follow the rules here. There are 7.6 million people in our immigration backlog who applied for green cards and tried to come here legally. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to us. We need to do things the right way. So we're going to pay you a resettlement fee so that you can go back to your country of origin with minimal disruption to your life. But you do need to go. And is that going to be expensive for American taxpayers? It is, but that's also the cost of restoring the perception of fairness and order in this country, which is something that we've lost, and I think why we're so divided. And if we don't figure out a way to resolve this, it's going to continue to be a political talking point every 4 years. And aren't we all tired of this?
Yeah, I agree with you. Stephen Klubeck, I mean, Trump has had a massive success on the southern border, for which I don't think he gets enough credit. You know, reducing the number of people coming in illegally on that border by 96% in his first 3 months is a stunningly successful achievement, which should be applauded by people from all sides of the political divide. I mean, just to start with, do you applaud him for that?
A+ for that, but we had a beautiful bipartisan bill in 24 that would have solved 80% of these issues. 80%, there would have been a true pathway to citizenship. We would have had a strong border. Trump absolutely hijacked this. It was a great, beautiful bipartisan bill. Okay, we've got people that need to be adjudicated quickly, that have been in the system a long time. Hire the necessary judges, get pro bono counsel, get people on the rolls properly, and you know what? Kick the criminals out. Simple.
Right. So you say it's simple, but you ended by saying kick the criminals out. But do you categorize somebody who's in the country illegally as a criminal?
If you did not fill out your paperwork properly, okay, immigration is so complicated here. So by the way, I admire the way you handle yourself. Immigration is very complicated, okay? And you have to understand there's such thing as asylum, correct?
Right.
There's proper immigration, correct?
Yes.
There's visa policy, which has many facets to it. There's visa waiver for those that come into the country for visitation. There's proper visa application for farm workers, day workers.
People like me. I'm on a visa. Yeah.
That's correct. And you follow our laws.
Yes.
And you're here on probation. And if you do violate our laws, then you have due process. Okay? But if you came into this country and you violated any of our laws, I have zero tolerance for that. I have a problem with the following. I have a problem with the way the Trump administration came in under the cloak of darkness or the day of light without telling the governor in advance to set up a perimeter and give the governor a chance to give the officers safe harbor to do what they needed to do. That's where I've got the problem.
But just before I go to the sheriff, just to be clear, do you view people who are in the country illegally as criminals?
If you violate any law in the United States of America
Well, I'm talking about the mere fact they've entered the country illegally.
through our porous borders,
Or just if they come into the country illegally.
if you come into the country illegally, if you're here and you overstay your visa waiver, you are here illegally. If you're collecting money on a visa waiver, you are collecting money illegally. You are subject to due process in the court of law.
Okay. Sheriff Bianco, this whole incident in LA has magnified what is going on with the Trump immigration policy. You know, I thought that Kaizen articulated it very well, what a potential way to resolve this is. What did you think of what he said? Do you have a better plan?
I think what he said is exactly spot on. I think that's the voice of reason. That's the voice of common sense. And what we're talking about here is completely riotous behavior that is being allowed and has honestly been enabled over the last 10, 20 years of this progressive rule that is anti-public safety. And this was being allowed to exceed what it should have been done over days because there was no action. You have the largest two law enforcement agencies in the country that were being overrun to where they had to call for help, for backup from the 4 surrounding counties, and we had to send reinforcements in. The beauty of having the federal government there, the National Guard and now Marines, they're not there yet, but they're going to be, is they are protecting those buildings, so now we can go out and stop this riotous behavior that's going on. The fact that you have politicians speaking out in their own political, trying to make this political for their own benefit, the rest of us are suffering for it. The law enforcement is suffering for it. The people that are here illegally or not, that are residents of our communities, we're the ones suffering for this, all while the politicians are sitting arguing and pointing fingers and pointing blame to say it's your fault, so go ahead and elect me or elect me again. And the reality is you have common sense approaches that this started because absolute criminals with deportation orders were going and being targeted, and then this escalated into what we're talking about now. This isn't about the 4-year-old that somehow got deported. This is about violating our laws. It is victimizing the rest of us, and the politicians are making this happen. Yeah, I would be willing to bet that if Case and I sat down at a table with maybe a handful of other adults, we could solve the immigration process, because it's going to take compassion. It's going to take the rule and the order of law to make all of this happen. But it's going to take absolute adults that have nothing to do with politics in order to fix this, because every single politician is using this and has been using this for decades for their own benefit during election cycles.
All right, Stephen, I can see you remonstrating. We couldn't hear what you were.
Best view on.
You were saying, but I just want to respond to that.
Yeah, Sheriff, you know, look, I sat with you. You're a good guy. You're a patriot. I get it. You would never send your officers into a situation where they would or could get hurt. And that's where I've got a serious problem here, because Tom just sent his folks in there without any coordination. He could have picked up the phone and called Governor Newsom and said, hey, look,
This is the problem with this, Piers. He has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. I know what this plan is. I know what the plan was. I know what they were doing. So did every other law enforcement leader. We have politicians or people wanting to be politicians that are making up things for their own personal benefit in their own head and their own opinions that are not fact. And that is where
Tom called Gavin Newsom and said, I'm coming in.
Gavin
Do you know
Newsom
that
had
for a fact?
nothing to
Do you
with
know
this.
that for a fact? Did Tom call you? Did Tom call you and say, "Hey, I'm coming into LA"? Sheriff Bianco,
No.
I'm coming into LA. Did he do that?
His people did. That's the cooperation of law enforcement. And when people who have absolutely no idea what they're talking about decide to have opinions like the facts, we get into these positions. And talking over people while they're talking, answering you, and because you don't want to hear the answer, that's why.
No, I do want to hear the answer. You're diverting. You're diverting. Did Tom call you? Yes or no?
Tom shouldn't call me. The people that were operating called me.
About it.
This is proof that you know nothing about what you're talking about, and this is politics destroying everything. You have no business managing this. The governor has no business managing this. People.
Oh, the governor certainly does when it comes to posse comitatus. It certainly does. Do you know what posse comitatus means, Sheriff?
I'm not sure you do, but Pierce,
Oh,
come on.
I do.
We're talking about
Yes, I
riots
do.
in LA, and we're talking about an issue that is being.
Well, my problem, I actually don't have as big a problem as some people seem to with the use of National Guard or even the use of Marines if it comes to it. If there is a general belief that the officials on the ground have lost control, okay, then the federal government needs to step in. I can see the argument either way on that. But let me ask you, Kaizen, about this. A lot of people are uncomfortable about that. They do feel that it's an excessive use of federal firepower and a kind of creeping militarization that you would normally see associated with some kind of fascist state. What do you feel about, in particular, the deployment of National Guard and potentially hundreds of Marines?
Pierce,
Yeah, well, whenever the
This is for
executive,
Kaizen, sorry.
I'm sorry.
whenever the executive uses their power, there's a risk that they overuse it, right? And the question is, in this specific incident, was the use of the National Guard justified? And I believe it was. I mean, what happened was on June 6th, the riots started to break out. On June 7th, they called in the National Guard. On June 8th, the LAPD chief said that they were overwhelmed. And the morning of June 8th, 300 National Guard arrived, and then June 9th, more people arrived. And given that last night we just had a curfew instated in LA, it looks like this has been a big enough problem that we needed backup. So I'm glad that there's backup here. And obviously, I want to make sure that Trump doesn't go too far. And it's not without precedent to use National Guard to quell unrest. And frankly, as someone who just lived through the LA fires and saw how poorly that was managed by Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom, I'm actually glad that the president stepped in because I don't have a ton of confidence in local leadership to deal with these things. That said, I think Gavin Newsom has made a good point, which is, hey, the president has been fomenting the kinds of conditions that can become inflamed very quickly in his rhetoric and the forceful ICE raids. And to clarify, the particular raids that happened on June 6th were actually not immigration enforcement actions. It was about busting cartels, but they happened to find some illegal immigrants and they arrested them. That said, this brings me back to the bigger point though, which is we've created an environment where stuff like this is going to happen. The more that we keep on pounding the table about violent criminals and rapists and drug dealers and honestly demonizing the entire illegal immigrant population, the more that people are going to react when they see ICE suit up in LA. So I think we need to just take down the rhetoric, have a plan that's more focused on incentives rather than force, and then we don't even have to be in situations where the president needs to deploy the National Guard. But there are situations where it's needed, and I'm glad that he did here.
All right, Stephen Kluber, I mean, do you accept that there are circumstances where you do need to deploy National Guard and, if need be, Marines and the way that's been done, even if you don't think it was appropriate here?
As long as you handle it properly and effectively to start with command and control and unify with the state of California and the local community, whether it's city or county. And if they don't want to cooperate, yeah, then bring them in. But give them an opportunity to cooperate. I don't believe for a moment they picked up the phone and spoke to the governor. I don't believe that. And you all can think what you think, but I know that's not true. This is Vendetta City here. Instead of unifying and working together, let's work together. It's not California versus Donald Trump. And Donald Trump loves to stoke the flame, California this, California that, like there's a spigot for our water. There's no spigot in California. Come on. Look, tell him to be a big boy, put his big boy pants on, and pick up the phone and work with California. Don't fight against us. Unify with us. Would you please? We're the fourth largest GDP in the United States. You want to play this game, Donald? Why don't we cut off your federal funds? That's $94 billion. We'll see how you like to play that game. You'll be on an airplane in a heartbeat to California. We'll see you in LA, Sacramento, or San Francisco. We'll start talking turkey with our money. Okay?
I mean, look, I think one of the things I would say that I think irked Trump and a lot of people on the Republican side of this was that there were a lot of Democrats, both politically and in the media, who were seemingly competing with each other to downplay what was happening in Los Angeles and to not call out what we were all seeing with our own eyes, which was some appalling violence. And I think one of the ways through a lot of this partisan stuff that goes on, which is so self-harming really to the United States, and we have the same problem in my country, is if when you have something like that, it just gets called out. It reminds me of the George Floyd rioting, right? The murder of George Floyd was an appalling thing. It should never have happened. The person who did it is now serving a very long prison sentence, quite rightly, in my opinion, for an appalling murder of an American man in the street. However, a lot of the rioting that went on was also appalling and unacceptable and should have been roundly condemned by everybody in America, just as the January 6th riots should have been roundly condemned. But I just think there are certain things that should just be called out by everybody. And then you can move on to how you sort issues out, like immigration systems and so on. But if when it's your side causing the trouble, or people that you generally think are on your side, if you give them a pass, that inflames situations. It just does.
Hey, these are hard truths. There's no pass for the lack of execution. There's no pass for the lack of accountability, of not knowing your numbers, having $2 billion of homeless money, not knowing where it is. There's no pass for deleting your text messages. There's no pass for not having a reservoir filled. There's no pass for going to Ghana when you know we're having extreme weather conditions. There's no pass for any of these folks, Pierce. These are hard truths.
Yeah.
There are a lot of us that are willing to agree to all of these things. And look, my dear friend Chad Bianco, he's a friend. You know what, we're sitting here just talking, but he's a nice gentleman, okay? We are Californians with California values, okay? We contribute a lot to the federal government, and we've had people in our country that just like to be stoked by this reality TV. I don't want to see Zelensky getting dressed down on TV. I don't want to see tariffs, which are the first act of war. We're saying we get along with the Chinese. Okay, great. What does that do to the American consumer? We're talking about real important things, family first, us, eggs, bread, milk, cheese, gas, proper immigration, hard truths. Okay, the customers of America need to get more than they bargained for. Okay, we're paying tax dollars.
Kaizen, you've got your hand up. I actually want to give you the last question, which is simply this. Which of these two men, if you had a choice between the two of them to vote for as a California resident, which one would you vote for?
I don't know either of them, but based on what I've seen today, I would vote for the sheriff. I think he comported himself in a way that we need to see our leaders do more. I think he was more respectful in the dialogue. And I think it actually goes to what you said, Piers. Like, we just need to go beyond sides and partisanship. It's really exhausting. And we're choosing partisanship over principle. And we get into these situations where the left is not dealing with violence and the right is allowing any rhetoric to be permissible because they're responding to the left. And it's ridiculous. And most Americans don't feel like they're right or the left. They feel politically homeless. They feel disenfranchised. And they actually want to hear about politics less because, by the way, if politics is a form of entertainment, your political system is probably not working very well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd like to see the left take a hard line against any violence, period. I'd like to see them cooperate with our commander-in-chief to follow the mandate of following through on resolving this immigration issue, on both the illegal immigration issue and the legal immigration issue. And on the right, I would like to see the right call for more compassionate rhetoric from our presidents and anyone who's in charge of these deportations. Because hopefully one thing we can all agree on is, hey, the humans who are here illegally broke the law, period. To your question of, is it criminality? It is a criminal offense by USC Penal Code that for you to enter the southern border without permission. So it's just a criminal act. And these people were desperate. They're just trying to have a better life. So we can enforce our law and we can do it compassionately in a way that just focuses on resolving the issue rather than winning a political argument.
You know what? I thought of another question while you were talking, Kaiser. Why don't you run for office?
I think there's some milestones I want to achieve in my life. I want to start a family and get rich so I can't be bought. And then maybe I'll enter politics.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is me. If you enjoy our show, we ask for only one simple thing. Hit subscribe on YouTube and follow Piers Morgan Uncensored on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in return, we will continue our mission to inform, irritate and entertain. And we'll do it all for free. Independent, uncensored media has never been more critical, and we couldn't do it without you.
I feel like I'm at the top of my game as an athlete and as an individual. I'm proud of myself where I'm at right now. For sure.
What's your reaction to that?
So after months of gambling with the Nelk Boys, UFC President Dana White has finally showed up back to work, and he was grilled at the UFC 316 post-fight press conference by the media. They didn't push hard enough. I thought this was the time to truly break Dana White, but Dana White is breaking regarding the whole Jones and Aspinall situation. You can see that he's starting to lose his patience with Jon Jones because of Jon Jones, Dana White has to be grilled by the media anytime he shows up to these things, which is why, in my opinion, he hasn't been showing up to these press conferences as of recently because he knows what questions he's going to get. They were asking him about the Jon Jones petition. They were asking him about a bunch of other things as well. And I wanted to go through that in today's video because there's a lot to discuss. So they kick off straight away at 2 minutes 12 into the video. I'm just going to let it play and we're going to get straight into this. No more delaying. Let's watch Dana White squirm.
It's a conversation we've had many times now, the Tom Aspinall-Jon Jones fight.
Immediately we're off the rip with the Tom Aspinall-Jon Jones fight. 2 minutes into the press conference. Forget UFC 316 that just happened. This is what we need to know.
It's a bit different now, right? Because Jon's been tweeting a lot about the fact that he's told you his plans, he's ready to vacate the belt, and all the rest of it.
He said he's ready to vacate the belt.
He said he doesn't care if you strip him, he would vacate it.
Fucking crazy. Yeah, I've been busy. I haven't been keeping up with the gossip.
What have you been busy doing? What have you been busy with? Did Steve Will Do It need saving from 200k down at the blackjack table? Like what? What has he been busy with? Like, if he hasn't been noticing what's been going on with Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall and what Jon Jones has been up to, what have you been busy with? Power slap? You're the UFC president. Hey, Dana, UFC president Dana White, we have a question. Have you seen what's going on with Jon Jones, one of the biggest topics right now in the MMA world? Yeah, kid, I've been busy. I've been busy doing stuff. What have you been doing? It's your job to pay attention to these things. But conveniently, Dana White has been busy. Now, we all know that Dana White knows what's been going on with Jon Jones. This is just his way of, like, avoiding any sort of, like, responsibility for it. Or, you know, I haven't really been paying attention to any of that stuff because if I was paying attention, then I'd have some real answers for you guys. And I'd really be held accountable for it. But no, he's been busy. The UFC president's been busy. So he hasn't been paying attention to the whole Jon Jones-Tom Aspinall situation. The guy who's trying to get the Jon Jones-Tom Aspinall fight made has just been way too busy to be paying attention to the John Jones, Tom Aspinall situation. I mean, this is what I'm talking about with Dana White, you know? Craziness. And he even says at one point later on, it's like, it's none of my business. It's literally his business, but we'll get to that in a second.
He comes back. He's either back today or came back yesterday or whatever. He's in Thailand. So he's home. We'll be home tonight. And Tuesday, we'll figure this out.
The classic Dana move. Tuesday, we're going to figure this thing out, which is why I even do these press conferences, because why not do the press conferences on Tuesday, dude? Anything that isn't
Chill Bill
nice
lover.
to deal with Tuesday, you guys. You guys know I don't deal with this now. Then why are you here now, then, if we don't deal with this now? But I get it. It's not like we're asking him a question about what's next after UFC 316 for one of the fighters. This is a current topic. There's no waiting till... What we got to wait for? The rankings to update? We got to wait till Tuesday, yo. I got to see where Mario Batista's at in the bantamweight rankings first, because, you know, I need to know that before I deal with this whole John Jones thing. Craziness from Dana White.
Doesn't fight, because he also called out.
We'll figure this out.
If he doesn't fight, because he also called out Francis Ngannou. He said he'd rather fight Francis, which I see.
Who did?
John.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't even know about that. This guy has no clue, apparently, what's going on. Laughs about it, of course. You're like, come on, we're not doing that. Of course we're not doing Jones and Ngannou. Ngannou's got another fight on his PFL contract. Who called out Ngannou? How out of the loop is this guy? Like, genuinely. Sorry, who called out Ngannou? I was busy playing Baccarat with Steiny. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, guys. Come on. We got to wait till Tuesday. I mean, you can't make this up. You can't make this up with Dana. You're the UFC president. What do you mean who? What do you mean who called out? Oh, who called out Ngannou? It was Marab. Marab was calling him out, Dana. Didn't you hear? Come on, man.
Not that interested in that then. But if he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall and he does walk away, do you think he's ducked him?
Tom Aspinall's the guy. He's the guy.
That doesn't answer the question, but all good. It's good to know that Aspinall's the guy up next for John.
I don't know. Yeah, well, let's see how this plays. Listen, if the guy wants to retire and doesn't want to fight, nothing you do. I didn't want Habib to retire. I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So
this is a change from Dana White, by the way. This is him degrading. He's giving up territory here to the media and to the fans. Listen, if he doesn't...
Bold justice.
But a lot of people worry about property damage for the sake of property damage. You know?
Why is it so hard to just say that setting a car on fire is bad?
What do you think he would post on Twitter if he came back to his Porsche on fire?
Exactly. This is the core of most of the luxury beliefs that fuel these protests. These people never have to live with the consequences of their own suicidal empathy.
There's good stuff happening on the protest side always. You only see the looting of Target. You don't see the redistribution of the goods that they took from Target back to the community.
Even if someone were to burn my fucking leased car, like I still have insurance.
It's okay because it's not my car and somebody else has to pay for it. Well, I mean, look, at least he's being honest, right?
That's a far more preferable outcome. That's what I'm saying.
If somebody was at Hassan's house or on Hassan's property and Hassan didn't want him there, Hassan would be calling the police to have them get removed. For whatever reason, obviously this isn't something that a country can do, only Hassan can do this. It's okay if his car gets burned down because it's not his car, he's only leasing it, and also he has insurance that's going to pay for it anyway. And this is the reason why it's okay to set cars on
For their livelihood.
Chinese, but can.
Mun it up.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the other play. Listen, if the guy wants to retire and doesn't want to fight, nothing you do. I didn't want Habib to retire. I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So
This is a change from Dana White, by the way. This is him degrading. He's giving up territory here to the media and to the fans. Listen, if he doesn't want to fight, when Dana White starts saying he didn't want to fight, listen, if he doesn't want to fight, this is when you start hearing this kind of language out of Dana White where he's losing his patience with the fighter, basically. Once you start hearing that a guy don't want to fight, and by the way, John Jones doesn't want to fight, but once Dana starts saying it, instead of just defending them non-stop over and over and over again, that's when you know Dana's losing his patience with John Jones right now, basically. Gallivanting around the world, getting up to who knows what, while he's here having to face the music with the media after he's tried to avoid it for a few months.
it's none of my business.
Oh, Stevens sent me a rose. Well, thank you, Stevens.
What's that? I swear to God, when I heard this, I heard it while I was doing the live fight companion, and I was lingering around afterwards on my live stream, coping about Merab's win. And I heard Dana in the background. I swear this added to my Merab cope, because I'm arguing with my chat, and I can hear Dana in my ear, and he's going, "It's none of my business." It's literally your fucking business. It is, the UFC is your business. You are the UFC president. You know, this John Jones thing. It's none of my business, guys. It's none of my business. How is this even being said from Dana? I swear to God he's trolling. It's the only explanation is that Dana White is trolling us right now. Yeah, what do you think about this whole situation with Jones and whether or not he's going to fight again and if he's going to fight Tom Aspinall? Yeah, you know, guys, it's none of my business. You're the fucking UFC president that is responsible for getting this fight made, and it's none of your business. You have no idea what's going on right now with John Jones. He couldn't have laid me up for a video any better if he tried. It's insane. It's insane to see.
I'll do what I can to make the fight if we can. You know, if he's
So it is your business.
talking that crazy shit, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
He didn't know that John Jones was talking that crazy shit. Because Dana White's just had his head in like a dustbin for the past. I swear to God, this guy's literally, and he's had his head in the sand, right? He's put his head in the sand. That's like a saying when you're like trying to avoid yourself of all responsibility. And he's actually done that. This is the perfect example of a man who's put his head in the sand and just ignored everything going on in the outside world to avoid stress. Because I know Dana's stressed. I know he feels the pressure. You can hear it in his voice. He's weak. He's timid, okay? He's ready to be just absolutely attacked by the media here from all sides. And to be fair, they did push him on a few topics. They got him, you know. Dana White's throat, as you can hear, he's sounding like RFK Jr. up there. And he sounded like he's going to try and get the mercury taken out of tuna, you know what I mean? Like, the guy's throat is on its last legs. And I don't want to talk about what he's getting up to with John Jones as to why his throat is so destroyed. But, you know, Dana White's throat's destroyed, and he just got back from Thailand, by the way, did I mention? Either way, let it play. I can't believe that we're hearing this from him, though.
And last one on this, I remember a time when GSP announced he was walking away after the Johnny Hendricks fight, and you said he owes it to the belt and the company to at least defend it against the guy that rightfully should fight for it. Do you think that's kind of the same here with John?
Yeah, but John's been John since he walked in the door here.
Not that, and the fact that he's been doing this since he walked in the door and embarrassing the company since he walked in the door with his roid cheats and his controversies here and his cheating here and his fouls here and his PED tests here isn't a reason for you to not crack down on him the way you did GSP. It isn't a reason why you shouldn't crack down on him like you did to Tyron Woodley and other people who have been a little bit weird about their title reign historically. But this is when it comes to like a fighter just before their retirement. So he's specifically mentioned GSP to Dana White. Oscar Willis has here. John Jones, having done this his whole career, is not a reason to not crack down on him for it. It's a reason to crack down on him more for this behavior. Because he's been doing this. So you should be at your wit's end. When GSP started acting a bit weird for the first time after he won a fight and just decided to retire from the welterweight division, he came back years later to fight Michael Bisping, but he gave away the belt, he retired, he vacated, he didn't hold up the division. He literally announced his retirement on the mic, and Dana went off on him. GSP's been a saint to the company, you know? He hasn't given you massive problems. But that was at a time when GSP wanted the drug testing for Johnny Hendricks with VADA and Dana White, and there was that whole confusion there about if he really wanted... it was a whole situation back then, but I think that the reason why... I think that John Jones being such a recurring offender when it comes to humiliating the company should make Dana even more vicious towards him compared to how he was to guys like GSP and other champions that we've seen before in the sport who have been mistreated by him, who have messed up maybe for the first time, and Dana's just put the hammer down on him. Whereas with John Jones, he's been doing this the whole time, and Dana's just letting him run riot on the whole sport. It's insane.
And yeah, I was younger then. Really, shit doesn't go the way you would like it to go all the time.
I was younger then. We need Dana White young. We need a younger Dana White is what we need, dude. He's lost his fire. He's lost his passion. We need big, fat, pink Dana White who's bright red at these press conferences, struggling to breathe, ready to snap at any moment. If a UFC fighter betrays his orders. That's what we need from Dana. That's what we need. We need a ruthless dictator in charge, and we've got this guy who's just showing up part-time, who doesn't know what's going on at all, conveniently, so he can't be grilled on it at the media day. Insane stuff, but there's more. There's a lot more, because even though Oscar Willis said, okay, last thing on this topic, it wasn't the last thing on that topic. There's a few other things in between I wanted to discuss here. He said, and this is another part, this is just a mini one, then we're going to get into the John Jones petition situation.
Dana here. To go back to Merab and his desire to have 4 title defenses this year, that's never happened before. The most was 3, and a few fighters have done that. Would you be willing to accommodate that schedule for him if he wants to?
I never say no to guys that want to fight too much.
Yeah.
There's no such thing.
Yeah.
He never says no to guys who want to fight too much. But he does say yes to guys that don't want to fight at all in John Jones. I never say no to guys who don't want to fight too much. The impression ain't working here because his voice is ruined, I guess. But he doesn't say no to guys who want to fight too much, but he does say yes to guys who don't want to fight at all if their name is John Jones. And I want to say another thing about this when it comes to never saying no to activity. He's got to pass that message along to some of his matchmakers. The amount of fighters that are on the roster that have messaged me, and these are fighters that have been around in the company that maybe haven't reached the rankings or put that run together to become a big name in the company, but they also haven't been cut immediately from the sport. The amount of fighters that are like veterans in the UFC that have like 7 fights to 10 fights on their record in the UFC that are pretty 50-50, the amount of them that constantly talk about the fact that they're trying to get fights, but the UFC just won't book them. I mean, this isn't someone who's even messaged me about it. No, I think I did speak to a fighter about Philip Rowe. is a fighter on the roster who actually has a fight coming up very soon, who is talking about this, where he's trying to get a matchup, and he's trying to be active. But for whatever reason, they're just not giving him stuff. And there's a bunch of other fighters on the roster that are like this as well, where they want to be in there sometimes, but the UFC just has them at like the back of the queue. And they only really get opportunities to fight if it's on less than convenient, to say the least, circumstances to step in there and either save a day or step in on short notice here or take on this upcoming prospect on short notice there. There's a lot of fighters on the roster that are vets out there that are like looking to be active but just can't get fights because, I mean, if Dana's saying that he never says no to activity, he needs to pass that message along to Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby immediately because they must have not got the memo there. Either way, though, we move on to the Jon Jones petition situation, which is at 7:53 here. Let it play. This is on the Mac Life, by the way.
Jon Jones, did you see the petition online from the fans?
Yeah.
What did you just make of that?
Every human on earth was DMing it to me, and yeah.
Don't stop! Do not stop! He must see everything, okay? And this is proof that Dana White's been seeing everything about the Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall thing, that all the hard work that we have been doing as a community, Dana White's been seeing it all. So this is where we cannot let off the pedal, okay? We've got to put our foot down here, okay? He's seeing it all. He's seen the petition. Dana White almost saw like a nightmarish scenario unfold behind his eyes as the petition was brought up to Jon Jones there. I'm going to play that one more time.
Jon Jones, did you see the petition online from the fans?
Yeah.
What did you just make of that?
Every human on earth was DMing it to me, and yeah, I saw it.
I mean, I know you say you always listen to the fans and give the fans what they want. I'm just curious what you make of that.
How many fans are there worldwide now? Like, what's the number? It's like 400 million or something like that. Yeah, 130,000 people want to see me stripped.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not enough.
He's minimalizing the amount of signatures that this has gotten. And I know it's a silly thing that we're doing, yeah. But for him to just brush it off, listen, guys, there's 400 million fans worldwide, even though you only get 1 million to watch the Apex cards. No one watches The Ultimate Fighter. You get 1 million views on the Apex cards. You might get 1 million live viewers on the prelims of a pay-per-view. You're probably selling about 200k pay-per-views per UFC event. I know that there's a lot of people that are watching it illegally and finding out what happens afterwards without paying and just interacting with the social media posts. I understand that there's a lot of those, but Dana White, man, there ain't 400 million UFC fans just desperate to tune into the next Apex event every day. This is a lot. And I'll tell you this, from Dana White to just dismiss this as a, 100,000 people, it's nearly at 200,000 now, by the way. So he's already minimalized it that way. But once we get like, 100,000 people signed it, I mean, come on, you guys. He's basically saying that's nothing. But what he doesn't understand is this is 100,000 of the most hardcore MMA fans there are. If you're signing a fucking petition to strip Jon Jones and you're actually going out of your way to do that, you are a level above the casual fan, a level above the regular fan, and probably a level above the hardcore fan if you're genuinely partaking in this type of stuff. Like, this is real hardcore fan stuff here. This is real niche UFC loyalist stuff, basically, that's going on.
Come on, guys.
And Dana White's just, oh, come on. Dismissing it. Dismissing the whole point of the thing. You know, and even the media member said there just a second ago, he said, you know, you always say that you give the fans what they want.
Hello, Choco. Hello, Choco. How are you today? Oh, Julia. How are you today? Don't think my voice, man. Think that's worse? What? Did you go to a doctor today? The 18th? Oh. What happened? You talked to her like much heavier than I thought. Put her down. Oh. Oh. That's heavy. It was storming pretty bad earlier. Oh, really? So it's just like all the businesses got shut down for like for a week. The doctor's office. Interesting. I guess doctors are just so rich they can just. Hello, Sora TV. Hello, hello. We're watching stream on YouTube if you want to join us on YouTube. So doctors can just like don't go to work. Oh, and only today. Oh, okay. Then that sucks. So you're gonna carry your fractured toe. You're gonna carry your fractured toe for another week because of the hurricane. You will be limping for another week. Are you going to answer? Are you going to answer for the Anya doll? Oh, did you message me? Sorry. Let me answer you. Why it's a thing? Wait, what do you mean? Like, why is Anya doll a thing? I mean, cause there's a market for it, I guess. One of my customers just got his doll. I'll show you. This one I can probably show it on TikTok. Hopefully. Okay, here's my email. Look! Oh. Hope you don't. I guess there's nothing to see. The head. Cover these up. What? I show it for like, I think they can detect like Reddit. As soon as they detect Reddit or like other brand logo, they will like block it. Whatever. They can detect like those little icons on the web page tab, and it will just block it immediately if they detect like. Anyway. I guess we just have to do it on YouTube. YouTube. What? FC market. Why it's a thing? Are you talking about Jeff Epstein or something? Well, Epstein actually traffic real girls. We don't do that here. Who is the character? Anya? Do you watch Spy X Family earlier? or type it to Spy X Family. The one that you showed. This one? This one is the face I'm gonna use for Jane Doe. But that is my customer, and he didn't really do the Jane Doe cosplay, so you probably cannot tell. That is, so this head is called This code is called RACH017. I think the Elizabeth, they give her a special name to avoid they have their own name. This one is called, make sure not showed. This one called Kira Chiyuki. So the name of this head is called RACH017 Kira Chiyuki. It doesn't. Hello, Ed. Oh, my noble otaku addicted to lolis. Yes, yes, yes. We love lolis here. All anime girls are welcome here. No discrimination like the West. The West is cooked. Dude, the West have so much I don't know. There are so many like political wicked views, like especially the Antifa. The Antifa are heavily against lolis for some reason. That's what I heard. Oh yeah, so the head, go back to the topic, the head is Kira Chiyuki. That's the name of the head. But it looks like Jane Doe. So I can show it to you, but like it has like more narrow, sharp eye like Jane Doe. So I'm gonna custom design the eyes and get the costume. I'll put on the custom design eyes, put on the costume, and it's gonna be Jane Doe. It's gonna be hot mommy Jane Doe. Thank you for liking the stream. Thank you liking the stream, Ed. Yep. I just saw this.
Anyway, there is some new Genshin Impact character they released. Let me see if I can just show it here. Yeah, here we go, right? Look at this. Now, when I look at this character, you know what this character reminds me of? 5 other characters that are already in the game. 84,000.
That is kind of true. Most Genshin characters look pretty similar, just different color and all the other things different, but the facial and the eyes are like mostly the same. And that's why I keep teaching like manufacturer to do this idea, just create the eyes, the shape of eyes I want, and then later we can custom design the eyes and like other stuff like clothes. I can contact clothing manufacturer and we can make more dolls.
1,000 likes. Sims are eating it up, bro. They're hungry. It's almost copy paste. Yes, exactly. It's all the same face. Yes. The point is that these characters are still, you know, they're still selling well. And so, yeah, that's it. Her personality's different. Yeah, surely it is. Okay, well, anyway, there is some new Genshin Impact character they released. Let me see if I can just show it here. Yeah, here we go, right? Look at this. Now, when I look at this character, you know what this character reminds me of? 5 other characters that are already in the game. 84,000 likes. Sims are eating it up, bro. They're hungry. It's almost copy paste. Yes, exactly. It's all the same face. Yes.
Their personality is different. I'll be back. Okay, bye bye. Have fun in eating dinner. I'll be off 8 o'clock. I'll be back at 10 when we play games, and then I'll see you then. Because games are more fun for teenagers, I believe. Bye bye. Right now I'm just working.
Oh, come on. That's not what the fans want. The fans want Volkanovski versus Rodriguez, guys. That's what the fans want. I know what the fans want, guys. It's Volkanovski Rodriguez. No. He gives us what the fans want only when it suits the company. It is what I'm hearing from this.
I'm not saying that. It's kind of fucking.
Not enough.
Not enough signatures is what the reporter suggests, meaning that if it got even more, then maybe he would strip John Jones.
I'm not saying that. It's kind of fucking silly.
Sure.
There's a whole situation that's quite silly right now as well, Dana. So basically, the strip John Jones petition was the UFC fans saying we can be silly about this as well. Okay, we can both play this game where we're being silly and completely irrational with the way that this company is being run. Okay, it's just silly to say to strip John Jones. It's just a silly thing right now while he holds up the entire heavyweight division so he can gallivant around the world. 9:42. Another moment in this interview.
Obviously, you know, this John Jones thing is what a lot of people are talking about. I wonder, is there anything that PFL or Francis could do to make that a realistic option for you guys, or are you fully focused on Aspinall?
Yeah, it's Aspinall's fight. I mean, we've been talking to this kid forever about it, and it's his fight.
That's good to hear from, at least there's some logic there. Now, not for a second did I think that Dana White would even consider the idea of bringing Ngannou back to the UFC, and he even mentions that later in this video as well, which we're going to get to. But not for a second did I think that he would mention that. He's not going to work with PFL. He's definitely not going to bring Ngannou back after the horrific split that they had where so much was said between them. I mean, he's already... Dana White can't go back to promoting Ngannou after the stuff that he was saying about Ngannou when he first left the company. That's just something that's not going to happen. And if it does happen, it just goes to show that Dana White doesn't have the pull that he had years ago when it comes to the decision-making in the UFC. If Ngannou is brought back to the UFC, it's because the rest of the people making decisions have A-okayed Ngannou coming back to the UFC, and Dana White has thrown a tantrum and left the meeting room in a strop. I can't believe you guys would do this. I can't believe it. I'm going to be a fool out there. You know, they're going to eat me alive in the media day next time. I just imagine Dana throwing a strop in the meeting room when everyone else agrees to bring Ngannou back, and he's like, what? What are you talking about bringing Ngannou back? We can't do this. But no, he's definitely not going to bring him back, and it's good to hear that Aspinall is the fight.
Listen, you can't make people fight. If John doesn't want to fight, can't make him fight. We can try to make him fight.
We're hearing the language. This is, and you can see the glint in his eyes. When that twinkle gets back in Dana's eyes, he doesn't want to fight. Listen, you can't make people fight. This is vintage Dana creeping out because he's under pressure. We always get the best versions of Dana when he's under pressure. When he cut Mikhaev out of pure emotion. I swear he's been being stressed about all of this other stuff when it comes to Jones and some of the other things going on with the company. And he, like, I swear he just lashed out at Mikhaev because he was in a mood that day. I feel like that sometimes when it comes to the whole Mikhaev situation. But when you see that twinkle in Dana's eye, you're getting some Dana White classics. He doesn't want to fight. We can't make people fight, man. What do you want? I can't force a guy to fight. And this is where he's losing his patience with Jones. So we're still on him. We have to keep this up, okay? Because we're not that far along from he didn't want to fight. You know, John Jones didn't want to fight. I rang him. He said he didn't want to fight. He actually is going to say later that Jones has accepted the fight, which I'm going to disprove. And Ariel actually seems to heavily disprove as well, which we're going to get to in a second as well. But you see that twinkle in Dana's eye and that grin? Somebody doesn't want to fight all of a sudden, you know?
We can throw things at him that inspire him to want to fight, but we'll figure it out.
Regarding this TKO...
Yeah. And they go into other stuff, and he says that he actually wasn't cut from TKO, from promoting Canelo versus Crawford. And even though Turki Al-Sheikh said that someone else was going to be promoting it. And he said, you know, you can't believe everything you hear, even though Turki said it. So he goes into a whole other topic on that as well. But I wanted to keep it to the John Jones stuff. Dana White, man. Apparently he's thrown stuff at John to incentivize him, and there are stories and a lot of sources that are saying that they called John's bluff. Is what a lot of stories behind the scenes are. And that's a whole other topic that I'm going to get to here. But there are stories that they gave John Jones his crazy offer and called his bluff, basically. And John still said, nah, I'm still not fighting. It wasn't about that. It was just about not fighting Tom. But we're going to move on to 1342 in the video here. Dana White, another question about the Ngannou re-sign. They're just, look at him turning. Another question. He's like, God, somebody asked me about Joshua Van already. God.
Do you all have Kurumi? Hello, Twisted Girl Yandere. I have ideas of Kurumi, but I haven't created.
Yeah, anybody got any questions?
The Kurumi looks like, if you go to my Twitch or my YouTube, I can show you a picture. I don't know if you're still here. So Kurumi look a bit yandere. I thought about using Kurumi with Are you still here? Yeah, Kurumi. We have Kurumi dolls though. We do have Kurumi dolls, but if you want to see them.
About Asmat Mirzakhanov? I mean, how about that Korean Zombie Jr., right? Nobody's asking about that. A couple questions here and there. No, come on, dude. I mean, who's going to ask me about that, I mean, Jesus Christ. What a performance from Macy Barber last weekend, right? He doesn't even, I bet you Dana still doesn't know she pulled out. You know? He's just been lost. He hasn't been paying any attention. How about that Macy Barber fight against Blanchfield? Who saw that one? Just completely out of the loop with the whole situation.
Dana, right back here. It was kind of crazy how much interest John showed in the Francis Ngannou fight. Like, there was some tweets going back and forth. What would happen if he came to you and says, like, I'll fight, but I won't fight Aspinall, I would fight Ngannou? Would you even be interested in that or no?
I don't have Ngannou under contract, and Aspinall's the guy.
Right. If you were put in the position, would you maybe try to get Ngannou back under contract or no?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. He's definitely not, because that would be a humiliating thing for Dana. Because he made such a strong point to get rid of Ngannou. And also Ngannou has still got a fight under the PFL contract. So I think this was honestly, and I said this when I broke down the video of Ngannou first talking about moving to the UFC, this was Ngannou getting his name in the headlines a little bit to get his name out of other headlines, again with the motorcycle and the Cameroonian girl and all of that stuff going on that he's now got away with, I think. I don't know if it's an ongoing thing, but he's getting his name out of other headlines and getting it in some new headlines, basically, which is saying that he wants to return to the UFC. But they aren't doing that. They just aren't going to do that whatsoever. So 15-14 is the next moment where they talk about... I wanted to talk about this as well, the crowded event goal despite the Apex. And we'll get to the John... Oh, well, no, you know what? We're going to skip straight away to the John Jones has agreed. Because I don't want to do some in-between bit. I'm going to save some bit for the end that I wanted to add on anyway. But we're going to go straight to the John Jones bit because I want to keep it on topic when it comes to the John Jones stuff. Let's let it play.
Yeah, one more thing on just John. I know you said you can't make him fight Tom, and it's ultimately up to him. I know you've...
Listen to that statement and how different it was from Dana a year ago. Because that's how long we've been waiting for this shit. John Jones says no to nobody. You know, there's a couple guys backstage where when you say they want to fight, they say yes. And John Jones is one of them. Remember the whole propaganda mission he went on about Jones when it came to whether or not he said yes to the Ngannou fight, even though he disappeared for 3 fucking years before the Ngannou fight was coming up? You know? Remember when Jones's next fight was set to be Ngannou and he disappeared for 3 years so he could bulk up to heavyweight just to show up with a pot belly and fight Cyril Gane on 4 weeks' notice, a guy who can't grapple? You guys remember that? Just disappeared for 3 years, and how Dana White was saying, there's guys backstage, and believe me, I know who says yes to fights, and John Jones, he's not scared of anybody, man, but now we're getting a lot of he doesn't want to fight. He's walking back stuff because he's losing patience.
Basically been on every wave in this sport. In your heart, do you believe that this is just the process, or is it ultimately you'll get him to fight in your
It's
mind?
definitely the process with John Jones. I've been going through this since the day he started here, and it's definitely the process.
We've been going through, so we've always been struggling to get Jones to take fights, certain matchups. It's definitely the process with John Jones. Listen to the stark difference of what he was saying about John. John Jones ain't scared of nobody. You put John Jones in a room with anybody. Remember the whole media tour he went on? I covered all of it. Where Dana White was talking about, you put John Jones in a room with anybody, John Jones is walking out. He ain't scared of nobody, this John Jones guy. But now it's always the process with John Jones trying to get him into a fight.
Do you believe
Him and Anderson
will happen,
Silva,
though?
him and Anderson Silva, every time, you know, throughout the history of being in business with those guys, when it comes time to get them fight, it's like dealing with artists. It's interesting.
You can play back some interviews from Dana a year ago. What changed? He's fucking, and he says that he's not paying attention to anything that John Jones is doing right now. He is, and he's fucking pissed off. But I bet you anything, Dana White is pissed off with John Jones right now. Because he defended him, and I bet you he was defending him and going on that media tour to try and get John Jones sweet with him. So he would come back and take this fight and make things easier, and Dana White could go down as the guy who got all the big fights made. But boxing's getting all the big fights made, you know? So Dana White wants to be in on that as like, I get the big fights made. You know, that's Dana's pride. Dana's pride is that he gets all the big fights made and he gives all the fans what they want. He always talks about this. And listening to him change his tone here, I bet you anything, he's raging in his office, slamming his fucking phone across the table after John Jones had just said, I'm in Thailand living my best life. You fucking goofball! Throws his phone across the table. You know? Sean Shelby ducking out the way in the corner of the office. Scared to even question Dana as he's losing his shit in the fucking boardroom. I can already see it.
Trust your gut. Like, in your gut right now, does it tell you that fight will end up happening?
What's that?
Like, in your gut, do you think that fight will?
Now, people were screaming. Which is definitely a Marab team thing to be screaming like that backstage on some little chant. But just so convenient, Dana just goes, what's that? Do I think the Jones fight's going to happen? What? I didn't hear that one.
Ultimately ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it since the beginning, and John Jones agreed to do the fight. So John Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal.
Now, they're going to go back to that in a second. And I wanted to take you to this Ariel thing. And I made a whole video about this as well. Talking about how the UFC called John Jones's bluff. And Ariel has been really harping on about this. And Dana White said the most significant thing regarding Jones versus Tom Aspinall in a very long time. The problem is he didn't tell you the whole story. And this is when it comes to Dana White saying that Jones has agreed to the fight with Tom. He said yes to what they offered him. He told you that Jones initially accepted the fight. But he didn't tell you that John Jones went back on his word. Eventually, that part will come out. Whenever the story comes out of why this fight didn't happen, Dana will say that John agreed and then he backed out. I think it's safe to say the glazing is over. And I literally was just getting done saying that about how he's no longer glazing John Jones and how all of a sudden the tone around Jones has completely changed when it comes to Dana White, because he was being nice. He was trying to butter up Jones. He's maybe trying to oil him up, who knows. But he was trying to be nice to Jones, get buddy-buddy with him. Maybe Jones would do him a favor and make this whole thing easier. And maybe it will make the whole negotiation process a lot smoother. Because if he was just trashing Jones from the get-go, then maybe Jones would just say, well, I'm not doing it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. So maybe that's what the outcome would have been if Dana took that approach. But the tone has changed. The glazing has stopped. And I've been saying this as well because, I mean, we had reports a while ago of people saying that, you know, they offered John Jones the offer that he asked for. You know, the FU money that he asked for to fight Tom Aspinall? Apparently they offered him that and called his bluff on it. And he then said no. So he's apparently, and according to Ariel here, we'll see if this stands true moving forward. John Jones went back on his word. So he said, if you offer me this, I'll take it. And that's Dana White's, he agreed to it. And then they offered him that, and then John Jones went, actually, no. I didn't think he would actually offer me that. I was trying to price myself out. I'm good. If that's reality, which is very, very likely, if that is reality, that John Jones asked for an amount of money that was so unfathomable that he thought the UFC had no chance of meeting it in order for him to fight Tom Aspinall, and they actually offered him that amount of money, and he still said no, we have never seen ducking like this in any sport ever. Straight up, because that proves it's not about anything else but the fact that he doesn't want to go in there against Tom Aspinall. Which is just an insane situation. But let's move on. 22-15. Into this. He goes into another situation about this whole John Jones thing. And I'm going to get back to a crowded event thing at the end that I wanted to discuss it.
There, you said John has agreed to fight with Tom.
To clarify, you said that John agreed to fight Tom, yes?
John agreed to fight Tom?
And all of a sudden you don't hear shit. Every time with Dana. Wait, I accidentally said that a second ago? What? Wait, you caught me saying that? I thought I was thinking that. I didn't realize I said it out loud. Fuck. Wait, John agreed to fight Tom? Is that true? He's letting shit slip, and now he's stuck. And he's gonna have to say, yeah, I guess John agreed to fight Tom.
Oh, you just said there? Before, like on the last answer, you said...
He still can't hear! Very simple! You've heard every other question. Very, very simple to hear. You've heard every other question. There's no people chanting in the background now about some random noise going on that maybe could justify you not hearing it before.
To clarify, you said that John...
You said John has agreed to fight with Tom.
Doesn't hear it the first time. Looks soft for hell.
To clarify, you said that John agreed to fight Tom, yes?
Literally into a megaphone by the sounds of things.
John agreed to fight Tom?
Is that what you
Here's it absolutely fine enough to repeat it to them.
just said there? Before, like on the last answer, you said...
What's the question? He's panicking like, oh shit, did I leak something? I shouldn't have said that, right? He's just saying shit to get people off his case. But by saying it, they're now back on his case. And he's misheard it 3 times already and gone, what? God, they're gonna chew me out in the boardroom tonight. Holy shit, I fucked up. Holy shit, I fucked this one up.
John agreed to fight Tom, yes.
So
there we go, we got it out of him.
So he hasn't signed the contract yet.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you guys have heard me for the last however long. I said, I guarantee you this fight's going to happen. This fight's going to happen. Fight's going to happen. You guys told me the crazy shit that was going on Instagram and all these other places. But yes, I've been saying John is going to fight Tom.
I want to say this fight's going to happen, this fight's going to happen is something that Dana keeps going on about. If it does, congratulations, MMA. MMA community, we did this. And I know that's a very jokey thing to say now with the Ilya Tapuria fans, like, we are the best in the world and we are going to KO Holloway. If this fight does end up happening, we need to pat ourselves on the back, because if we didn't grill Dana on this and we didn't push for this as hard as we did as an MMA community in every comment section on every UFC post, then I really don't think this would have happened. So I really think this is a fan movement thing where the whole fight has been made and they've kind of been locked into giving us what we want, because it's so undeniable what the fan base wants here. We want John Jones, Tom Aspinall, and you're going to give it to us or you'll suffer the wrath, is all I'm saying. Okay? There'll never be a comment section safe again. You can post a comment, you can post an Instagram post a year from now. I know what the top comment's going to be. Okay? So they're stuck now. The fan backlash has been so much, they have to appease us. They know the fan base, in my opinion, is on thin ice right now. So we'll see. We'll see. They've got the MMA fan base on a tightrope with the recent quality of events. So we're actually getting what we want, and it's because of our bullying that it's happened.
So there were some rumors out there that you guys had offered him his fuck you money and he turned it down.
There are rumors of that. Good job, media members. I think this is Mike Bond, I think, if I can hear the voice correctly. Good job, media members. There are a lot of rumors of that they offered John Jones his fuck you money and he still turned it down. There's strong rumors of that, as I just mentioned.
Rumors out there that you guys had offered him his fuck you money and he turned it down.
Come on, guys.
You guys had offered him his fuck you money and he turned it down.
Unless you hear it come from here or we put out a press release, don't believe any of this bullshit. It's like the Turkey stuff, you know what I mean? And everybody's saying, I know Turkey said some stuff, but
I'm going to get to that. But unless you hear it from us, it's bullshit. How's McGregor Chandler coming along then? You announced that one. Unless you hear it from us, it's not true. Oh yeah, because the UFC is known for telling the truth about things that are to come. How's McGregor Chandler coming along, Dana? Is it coming along well? We still cooking that one up? Is that one still done and official? I remember you announcing it at a press conference. We still good on the... I can't wait for McGregor Chandler next weekend. It's going to be a big one. Because they don't lie at the UFC. They don't make shit up in terms of news to try and coerce people into doing what they want under pressure of the news being announced. They would never do that. They've never announced a fight that a fighter hasn't agreed to yet in order to try and coerce the fighter into agreeing to it due to the fan pressure that's now going to be on them because the fight has already been announced by the company. They wouldn't do that. That's just something they just wouldn't do. Dana White. And then he goes on to say this.
you hear it come from here or we put out a press release, don't believe any of this bullshit. It's like the Turkey stuff, you know?
And this is when I was making the video. So Dana White's watching, man. What's up, Dana? Dana White's watching because I made a whole video about how he wasn't any longer going to be promoting Canelo versus Crawford because Turki Al-Sheikh said that he wasn't. And listen to what Dana says about the Turki Al-Sheikh.
Put out a press release. Don't believe any of this bullshit. It's like the Turkey stuff, you know what I mean? And everybody's saying, I know Turkey said some stuff, but
I know Turkey said some stuff. Yeah, the guy who's promoting it said that you weren't. I know he said it, but come on. Unless I say that I'm not doing it, then I am.
Unless we come out and say something, it's all bullshit. I just don't get sucked into that stuff anymore. I don't even care. I don't even listen to it. And most of the time, the shit that I hear that happens, I hear from you guys when I come to things like this. Otherwise...
Which is why you've been fucking avoiding things like this for the past few months. Which is why we haven't seen you in ages. Because when you come to things like this, you hear everything that's going on, and you have to face the music, and you come undone, and you break. Like now.
I don't care and I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. But yes, John agreed to fight Tom.
We'll see. And if it does happen, it's because of us that it did. There was another thing that I wanted to discuss at the end of this, and that was the crowded event situation, because this is another thing that's making the UFC fall apart a little bit here. The crowded event thing is crazy because just a little anecdote at the end here that I thought was interesting during this interview. The John Jones segment is over. You know, if you want to pay attention to this, you can. I've been complaining about the Apex for such a long time, and I know every fan out there has been complaining about the Apex. I know that he said the Umar rematch could be next, but he also said that Sandhagen could be next. I've already spoken about that. But this is something interesting about the crowded event situation here, about going to Azerbaijan in a couple of weeks' time.
2 weeks, you'll take the promotion to Azerbaijan for the very first time. What are you expecting out there? How excited are you to cross off another place to bring the UFC?
Yeah, I love it, and you know, I like going to new places and exposing the live event to people who we had a bunch. Of people here tonight who'd never been to a live event before, and when you talk to people after they see it live, it's different than watching it on television. So
Get out of the fucking Apex then. It's 2025 and you said this shit was going to be over soon. We're still in the Apex every month. Why are we still there? We're in the and we're finally getting some crowded events now, and hopefully we'll move away from it. But I'm still seeing announcements pop up of a September Apex card. When is it going to be very, very rare that we're in the Apex? Honestly. I know there's certain fighters, there's so many fighters on the roster now that they kind of have to be in the Apex sometimes, but it needs to start being few and far between. So hopefully Dana White actually lives up to this and starts getting us out of that fucking shitty Apex, man.
Oh, anytime I can get that experience to bring people in that have never been, I love it. It's literally my goal over the next however many years till I drop dead. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
It's his goal to get around, but where's the Czech Republic event for Yuri Prohaska? Jan Blachowicz was a champ, he never went to Poland. You know what I mean? Dricus du Plessis champ right now, we're not in South Africa. There's so many opportunities for international fights right now. Like, why the fuck are we in Azerbaijan? No, seriously, why are we in Azerbaijan? We should be in South Africa. We should be in the Czech Republic. We should be in these types of events. Marvin Vettori was in the mix at the top 5 of the division. We never went to Italy. We never been. Maybe sometime historically, but like, come on, we need to capitalize on some of these international names and get into these international areas when you have the talent at the top with belts around their waist. I don't believe this from Dana. I hope he follows up with this, and I hope there's pressure to make him go in with this. But speaking of live events and how he wants to get into more live events, there's no fucking pay-per-view in September. You know how there's a pay-per-view every month? There's no pay-per-view in September.
Dana right here.
Yeah.
Alex Bahunin tweeted out that as of today, there will be no September pay-per-view. Can you confirm or deny that?
Who? No September. Oh, Noche? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there's no UFC pay-per-view in September this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna go. We don't have a date for that one yet, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happened was we were going to be down in Mexico. The arena's not ready for us, so we had to.
Yeah. Just screwed up plans. Got you. So.
We're falling apart here. The shit is falling apart. Okay? UFC needs to lock in now. This next 6 months is going to be a very telling season of UFC. So we'll see how they deliver it. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. You know I had to make a video on this. Go check out the Mighty Guru show. I thought I'd plug that again. It posted today. I've come a long way, dude. 7 years. I even posted a video on my Twitter and my Instagram today. The MMA Guru official is my Instagram. My Twitter is that boy MMA Guru for some reason. I couldn't find any other name. Everyone else took my handles. But either way, go check out the Mighty Guru show on Demetrius Johnson's YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a pay-per-view recap show every pay-per-view moving forward. And I guess we're not going to be doing one for September, because there's no pay-per-view there. So, listen, go check it out. The Mighty Guru Show is a new show I have with Demetrius Johnson. And enjoy. See you later. Goodbye. Toodle pip.
That's funny.
We will not be ignored any longer.
We will be helping the genre with heavy duty, like carrying those position and improving our photography. Anyways, I think I'm gonna end the stream here. I'm gonna start the gaming stream tonight. I guess nobody's. But if anybody come across this video, I'll be promoting my stream a bit more on social media, so we can have more people. I'll see you on the next stream. See ya, everybody. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Like this. Make sure to like, subscribe channel. Make sure to like the videos I posted and the stream I posted. Share the video and share the stream, and subscribe to the channel or follow the channel, and then I'll see you on the next stream, next video. Peace.